Welcome to our new video. Today we will talk about how to avoid moisture on the walls of our home. We know that moisture can cause many problems in our homes, such as the appearance of mold, the deformation of the structure, and the deterioration of materials. That is why it is important to prevent and control moisture from the start.
There are many ways to prevent moisture on walls, and today we will mention some of the most effective ones. First, we must perform periodic inspections to detect any signs of moisture. This can include the appearance of dark spots on the wall, the smell of moisture, or the presence of mold. If we notice any of these symptoms, we must treat the moisture immediately to avoid it becoming a bigger problem.
Another way to prevent moisture is by ensuring that our house is well ventilated. This can include opening windows and doors regularly to allow fresh air to enter, or installing fans to improve air circulation. We should also avoid blocking ventilation grills and make sure they are clean and unobstructed. Another factor to consider is the quality of our water and drainage installation. It is important to regularly check our pipes and detect any problems or leaks that could cause moisture on the walls. We should also make sure that our drainage systems are in good condition and free of obstructions.
Firstly, it is important to know the causes of moisture on walls in order to take the appropriate preventive measures. Some of the main causes of moisture on walls are
water infiltration on the outside of the wall, either due to leaks or the lack of good insulation on the facade. Condensation of moisture in the air on the wall, especially in rooms with high humidity levels such as the bathroom or kitchen. Water leaks in plumbing installations caused by breaks or loose connections. High humidity in the ground that is transmitted to the walls through capillarity. To avoid moisture on the walls of our home, it is essential to carry out good maintenance and prevention. Some of the measures we can take are:
regularly check the state of the facade and immediately repair any leaks or damage to the insulation. Make sure to properly ventilate rooms with high humidity, such as the bathroom and kitchen. Periodically check plumbing installations and fix any leaks or breaks. Use anti-humidity products on the walls, such as waterproof plasters or special paints. Keep the floor dry and use products to prevent moisture on it. We hope these tips have been useful to you and encourage you to continue watching our video to learn more about how to avoid moisture on the walls of our home.
Did you know that windows can be one of the causes of moisture in the home? It is important to make sure they are well sealed to prevent the entry of humid air. But it is also important to be careful not to block the windows with objects that may prevent air circulation, as this can cause the appearance of mold and other moisture problems. So if you have the windows of your home blocked with furniture or curtains, it may be time to change this and allow fresh air to circulate freely. Your home will thank you.
In this second segment of our video, we will talk about how to detect and prevent moisture on the walls of our home. One of the most common ways to detect moisture is through the appearance of dark spots on the walls or ceiling. It is also possible to detect it through the smell of moisture, especially in closed or poorly ventilated environments.
To prevent moisture on walls, it is important to take preventive measures from the start of construction. This includes ensuring that the land is well drained and using appropriate construction materials that allow the transpiration of moisture. It is also important to ensure that the water and drainage installations are in good condition and that periodic maintenance is carried out.
Another preventive measure is to ensure that the house has good ventilation and avoid the accumulation of moisture indoors. This can be done by using air extractors in the rooms and using fans to improve air circulation. It is also important to bear in mind that certain habits in the home can contribute to the appearance of moisture on the walls. For example, the prolonged use of showers or baths without adequate ventilation can cause the accumulation of water vapor in the house. Therefore, it is important to take measures to prevent this, such as opening windows or doors during and after the use of these elements.
Moisture on the walls of our home can be a very annoying and costly problem to repair. In addition to affecting the aesthetics of our house, moisture can damage the structure and create conditions conducive to the growth of mold and other types of pollution. That is why it is important to pay attention to the signs of moisture and take measures to prevent it.
One of the most common causes of moisture on walls is excess moisture in the environment. This can be due to factors such as the location of the house, the lack of adequate ventilation, or the lack of a suitable heating and air conditioning system. To prevent this, it is important to ensure good ventilation in all rooms and use a suitable heating and air conditioning system for the size and needs of our home.
Another common cause of moisture on walls is the lack of proper insulation. If our walls are not well insulated, cold or heat can filter through them and create conditions conducive to the formation of moisture. To prevent this, it is important to ensure good insulation on all the walls of our home. Another factor that can contribute to moisture on walls is the lack of proper maintenance. If timely repairs are not made, small cracks or crevices can become bigger problems and allow moisture to penetrate our walls. That is why it is important to keep our house in good condition and make repairs on time.
Did you know that moisture can be more dangerous than it seems? If you live in an area with a humid climate, it is important to make sure your home is well ventilated and moisture-free to avoid problems like mold and the growth of fungi. But moisture can also be dangerous in the literal sense of the word. Have you ever wondered why it is dangerous to walk on freshly watered grass or wet ground after a heavy rain? Well, moisture on the ground can make it slippery and dangerous to walk on. But that's not all. Moisture can also be dangerous for animals. Some animals, like frogs and toads, are very sensitive to moisture and can be at risk of getting sick or dying if they are subjected to a humid environment for too long. So, although moisture can be uncomfortable and can damage your belongings, it is also important to remember that it can be dangerous. Keep your home moisture-free and take care.
In summary, there are many things we can do to avoid moisture in the walls of our home. With proper ventilation, insulation, and maintenance, we can ensure that our walls remain dry and moisture-free. In this third segment of our video, we want to talk to you about one of the most common problems in construction: moisture in the walls. Moisture in the walls can be caused by various factors, such as lack of thermal insulation, lack of proper ventilation, or water infiltration from the outside. If left untreated, moisture in the walls can cause serious structural damage and create conditions conducive to the growth of mold and fungi.
To prevent moisture in the walls, it is important to make sure the house is properly insulated and ventilated. This includes regularly checking windows and doors to ensure they are properly sealed and replacing any damaged seals. It is also important to keep the house clean and dry, especially in areas with high humidity, such as the bathroom and kitchen.
If you already have moisture in the walls, it is important to act quickly to prevent the problem from worsening. One option is to use a waterproofing product to seal the pores of the wall and prevent water from entering. However, it is important to keep in mind that this is only a temporary solution, and it is necessary to find and solve the root cause of the problem to prevent it from happening again.
The coldest house in the world is located in Siberia, Russia, and is a true marvel of engineering and architecture. This house was specifically built to withstand extreme temperatures and has an incredibly effective thermal insulation system. In addition, it has a heating system that ensures the house remains warm even in the coldest months of the year. But why would someone want to live in such a cold house? Well, it's actually not that cold. The coldest house in the world is actually a museum that is used to show visitors how people have been able to adapt and survive in extreme conditions throughout history. It is a really interesting place to visit and learn about how technology and architecture can help us face the challenges of the weather.
In summary, moisture on walls is a common construction problem, but with a little prevention and timely attention, you can prevent it from becoming a bigger problem. In the previous segment, we talked about the importance of performing regular inspections to detect any signs of moisture on the walls and treat them in time before they become a larger problem. But what if you already have moisture on the walls and want to fix it?
One option is to use a cement additive or a waterproofing agent to waterproof the wall. The ideal ratio for the waterproofing agent is 1:10, that is, 1 part waterproofing agent to 10 parts water. This water is used to hydrate the cement and sand mixture, which should have a ratio of 1:3. When applying the waterproof plaster, it is important to have a minimum thickness of between 2 and 3 inches to ensure its effectiveness. In addition, It is essential to moisten the walls well before plastering and keep them moist during the first few days after the plaster application, known as curing. It is also important to use pure cement and not a composite cement, as the latter tends to increase the risk of plastic shrinkage cracking. Another option to solve moisture on the walls is to use a wireless electrodialysis system. This system works by applying a low-intensity electric current to the wet wall, generating a reverse osmosis phenomenon that removes moisture from the inside of the wall to the outside.
The wireless electrodialysis is a quick, effective, and lasting solution for moisture on walls, and it does not require works or demolitions. However, it is important to keep in mind that this system only works on cement or brick walls, and it is not suitable for other materials such as masonry or gypsum panels. In conclusion, if you have moisture on the walls of your home, it is important to treat it in time to avoid bigger problems. You can use a cement additive or a wireless electroosmosis system, as long as these are suitable for the material of your walls. With a little attention and prevention, you can keep your home dry and comfortable.
Did you know that there are some myths and legends about how to waterproof walls? For example, some people think that sprinkling talcum powder on the wall will help repel moisture. But in reality, that does absolutely nothing. Others believe that covering the wall with plastic or aluminum foil will prevent moisture from entering. Well, that can help a little, but only temporarily. For a more lasting solution, we need something more effective. So, what is the best way to waterproof a wall? Well, that's what we'll discuss next.
In this block, we can talk about how to detect moisture on the walls of our home and how to prevent its appearance in the future. One of the most common ways to detect moisture is through the appearance of dark spots or mold on the walls, especially in the corners or in the dampest areas of the house, such as the bathroom or kitchen. We can also notice moisture by the smell of moisture or by the appearance of fungi or mold on furniture or other objects close to the wall. To prevent moisture on the walls, it is important to ensure that the house is well ventilated and that there are no obstructions in the drainage channels that could cause water accumulation. It is also important to keep the house clean and free of dust and dirt, as this can contribute to the appearance of mold and fungi. In addition, it is advisable to apply sealants or waterproofing to the walls and roofs to prevent water from penetrating the structure of the house.
Moisture on walls can be a serious problem that can cause issues with the structure of a home, such as bad odors, the growth of mold, and the appearance of cracks. But sometimes it can also lead to some funny situations. For example, have you ever woken up to a wet wall and had to come up with a quick solution to prevent the water from falling on your bed? Or maybe you've had to put a bucket under a leak in the ceiling for months while waiting for someone to come fix it. While moisture on walls isn't something to laugh about, it can sometimes lead to comical situations that help us see the humorous side of things.
In this block, we will discuss some of the most common issues that can cause moisture on the walls of our home. One frequent problem is excess steam inside the house. This can be caused by a lack of ventilation in the rooms or by the excessive use of devices that emit steam, such as heaters or clothes dryers. Another common issue is water infiltration from the outside, either due to inadequate waterproofing or due to damage to the roof or drainage gutters. Additionally, moisture can also be caused by the presence of moisture in the ground, especially if it is below the exterior level or has drainage problems. It is important to address these problems promptly to prevent moisture from damaging the walls and compromising the structure of the house.
In conclusion, moisture on walls can be dangerous if not treated in time. One example of this is when a collapse occurs due to inadequate waterproofing. It is important to maintain good ventilation in the home and perform regular inspections to detect any signs of moisture, especially in areas where water can accumulate, such as the bathroom or kitchen. It is also important to quickly repair any leaks or drips to avoid bigger problems. Remember, prevention is always better than cure.
In this final segment of our video on how to prevent moisture in your home, we want to leave you with some final recommendations. First, it's important to remember that moisture is a problem that can affect not only walls, but also foundations, roofs, and other structures of the house. That's why it's important to perform periodic inspections to detect any signs of moisture and treat it in time. It's also essential to follow the instructions of waterproofing products and apply them correctly to ensure their effectiveness.
Another recommendation is to make sure that the house's ventilation system is in good condition and used correctly to prevent the accumulation of moisture. It's also important to control the use of water and not allow it to leak or accumulate outside the house.
We hope this video has been helpful and has given you some useful ideas for preventing moisture in your home. See you in the next video.
Bye.
Kisses.